New heart health technology to turn back the clock. That's our Techstination. Joining us is University of Bristol Professor Paolo Madeddu. Hi, Dr. Madeddu.
Hi, how are you?
Terrific. Well, it is terrific to see you, and you are one of the leaders in the field of cardiovascular regenerative medicine. And you and your team have been making some headlines like this one from Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology News. Anti-aging gene rewinds by a decade, the heart's biological age. Tell us about the discovery.
Yeah, in a few words, we were very intrigued by the healthy state of some centenarian living in the south part of Italy. So our team, in collaboration with Professor Puga from University of Salerno, discovered that a particular gene mutated in some of these centenarian, conferring them with a particular healthy phenotype. So they can eventually have diabetes, but they don't show any complication, cardiovascular complication from diabetes. So their condition is really a healthy condition until the very late stage of the life. So when we identify this particular gene, we start to think that it would be possible to transfer it to animal model of disease to understand if the healthy state can be horizontally transferred. This is a first step to verify this could be a possibility also to alleviate cardiovascular disease in older people.
Fascinating. So there are people with this healthy mutant gene. You found this in southern Italy, but are there other places of the world where you suspect this exists as well?
Yeah, absolutely. This actually, in fact, is a very important point because in the past, other investigators have found potential candidate mutation conferring healthy longevity, but they didn't pass the verification in other cohort of a subject. So to make our data stronger, we investigated also two other geographical regions, in Germany and in the US. And also in these two verification cohort, we are able to understand that there was an association between this mutation and the healthy longevity.
So do we know what this mutation does to protect the heart?
Yeah, it's actually in the wild type version of the gene. Wild type means the more common form of the gene encoded for a protein that is expressed in the salivary gland and preserve the body from bacterial infection. However, this mutated protein, mutated gene, as they call it, the protein, have additional properties. So they stimulate the formation of nitric oxide. This is a gas and is produced by endothelial cell. Is protective for the vascular endothelium, reducing the risk of thrombosis, but also stimulating reparative processes. We also discovered that the protein acts like a scaffold, a chaperone, just to transport important protein from one part of the cell to the nucleus and activate the production of new protein that are important for the human cell. So it's a very complex mechanism, but we are now untangling the underpinning mechanism, and I think it's very important to understand mechanism to be sure what this protein is doing.
Do we know why this mutant gene developed?
You know, they actually it takes obviously thousands and thousands of years to change the genetic landscape of a human being. And some mutation in general occur by random. Some of these mutations can be transferred to the progeny. Some mutations are actually negative, as the ones that occur, for instance, induced by radiation or toxic environment. And luckily, some mutation can be also beneficial. So it's just by random. And in this particular case, because it's a mutation that confer healthy status, but not increase the fertility, the amount of people that have this mutation is maintained stable across generations. So they don't increase, they maintain it stable. However, I mean, by chance, this mutated gene is beneficial, and combined with the environment can provide this individual with a very strong means to stay healthy and fit.
So how could the discovery now be used to benefit those of us who don't live in those regions?
Yeah,
what's the process now?
Yeah, actually, this is a point that I was trying to explain before. So this gene is passed from mother and father to son and daughter. And this is called a vertical transmission. So if the mother and father both have a copy of the mutated gene, the son and daughter inherit the two alleles. So it means that is homozygous, so express a large amount of the longevity protein. However, we thought that it would be also possible to use gene therapy to transfer the healthy gene to other individuals that are not lucky enough, like the centenarian. And the first step was demonstrated this could lead to benefit in animal model, which was the case. So we demonstrated that mice with diabetic heart failure, aging animal, older animal with atherosclerosis could take a benefit from the gene and from the protein. So there is hope that the protein and the gene can do the same also in human patients.
And when do we start to find out, do you think, whether this will work with humans?
Yeah, obviously, before this, even is a protein expressed by the human body, is considered a drug. So the regulatory agency asks scientists to be very cautious and do all the safety studies before developing this protein as a drug. So we'll take another couple of years to do safety study, toxicology studies, and then we needed to produce a large amount of protein for the first studies that will be done in volunteers, probably in 3 years' time. I'm sorry to say that this is a long period, but it's actually a realistic scenario that everyone who wants to develop a new drug has to face.
So does this mean that people wouldn't have to worry as much about diet and exercise?
No, I am not saying absolutely that. I think
I didn't think so.
It is clear from several investigations that genetics influence approximately 20-25% of the probability to reach 100-year-old age. The rest is environment and staying fit and do exercise, eat well, and so on. So it's also a combination between environment and gene. You can have good genes, but if you don't eat well, the probability to reach 100-year-old age is very low, and vice versa. If you have a very bad gene, you eat very well, probably the bad gene also reduce the benefit of the diet. And in fact, this centenarian not only have good genes, but also eat very well and live in a very good environment. Also, I obviously recommend to look to the good diet and do exercise as a very important way to live healthy.
And you can be here maybe when this new drug becomes available as well.
Exactly. This is a point. I think that nowadays, conservative and personalized medicine look to new treatments that allow us to survive more because technology is working so quickly that maybe we can catch up new other opportunities, new winning drugs that will appear in the next future. So try to live well now.
So if this becomes a drug, I don't know much about how gene therapy takes place, but would this be more or less a pill or an injection that someone would take?
No, I think that the gene therapy is obviously a good solution for people with single genetic disease. And in fact, we are studying also the possibility that this protein could alleviate the situation of children born with progeria. Is a genetic disease that make these children old very soon. But for the general population, let's say with patients with infarction and so on, we are looking to an easy way to deliver the gene of the protein. So we wanted to deliver directly the protein. So it will be a protein maybe encapsulated within a coat, so it can be swollen and taken like a drug.
Terrific. So might this gene maybe we don't know, might this mutation have developed because of the diet and the lifestyle of people living in these regions? Or
No, I think that obviously there is a pressure, environmental pressure on gene. So there is a possibility that the environment create a mutation, as I said, also bad mutation. I mentioned radiation exposure to radioactive material can create mutation, negative mutation actually. But in case of the environment can obviously create conditions that modify not really the structure of the gene, so the component of the gene, the DNA, that is transferred from mother and father to the children, but rather modifies the gene, the structure, the external structure of the gene, so the protein that are associated with DNA, which are called histones. So human gene produce a protein according to a mechanism that is called a switch on or switch off. And the environment can switch off or switch on the expression of the gene. So it means that a protective gene can work if the environmental conditions are in favor, but in negative conditions, the gene can shut off. So it's basically the good gene is not expressing anymore. And this is called epigenetic. So epigenetic modification is not a DNA modification, but the modification of the protein that envelop the DNA.
is there a test, a blood test, or another way to test to see if certain people have this mutation?
Yeah, absolutely. You can take a few cells from the saliva, like doing a DNA assessment. You know, police use this to test a DNA, identify the person. So there is genetic tests that can be used to identify if the patient carry one single copy of the gene or two copy, which is make obviously stronger the protection. And also we can measure the level of the protein in the circulation, because the mutation in general associate with a very high level of the protein in blood. So measuring the blood, the content of protein in the blood, or doing the genetic test can help. I'm quite contrary, however, to make a genetic screening of individual, because it can have an impact on insurance and so on. I don't know insurance how will evaluate this genetic mutation. Reduce probably, you know, the cost of your insurance, because you have high probability to live longer.
Very interesting. So, but there are many people who do voluntarily, whether it's through 23andMe or Ancestry.com or other services, are sending in the vials of saliva to get the testing done.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I didn't test myself if I'm carrying the genetic mutation. I'm curious, but I didn't have the opportunity. I'm confident because I was born in a area where centenary are very frequent. My genetic makeup is good.
Very interesting. Is there a place we can go to for more information?
Yes, I mean, I can certainly be happy to send you some publication, the publications that we did recently, but also this publication received a lot of comment from journals and so on. So I'm happy also to refer you to journal that reported this news.
And for our audience, people can simply do a search for the work that you're doing at the University of Bristol. It's Dr. Paolo Madeddu, and thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.